Did you know? Every 3 seconds, someone in the world develops dementia, and most of them never saw it coming. Not because there were no signs, but because they didn't recognize them, or they ignored them thinking it was just age. But let me be very honest with you. Memory loss is not the only sign your brain is in trouble. In fact, that's often one of the last ones to appear. The brain, your most vital organ, starts giving you subtle warnings years before things go wrong. And here's the scary truth. If you miss those early signs, you could lose your memory, your independence, even your identity. Could your brain be silently begging for help right now? And are you doing something today that might be making it worse? Hi, I'm Dr. Michael James. I've been treating and studying brain health in older adults for over 30 years, and I'm going to walk you through the 5 early signs your brain is in distress. These are the red flags that most people never connect to brain trouble until it's far too late. But you are smarter than that. You're here because you care about your future, or someone you love is showing signs you don't fully understand. Either way, you're in the right place. Let me tell you, sign number 4 is one that even other doctors miss. But once you understand it, you'll never ignore it again. So please watch this video till the end, because the information you hear today could save your brain in the years to come. And if any of this sounds uncomfortably familiar, drop a comment below. You are not alone. Your experience might help someone else recognize their own warning signs. So how does the brain ask for help? Let's start with sign number 1. You may think it's harmless, but it could be your brain's first cry for help. Imagine this. You're standing in front of the fridge. You opened it for a reason, but suddenly you forget what you were looking for. Or you sit down to pay a few bills, but the moment you start, your mind just goes blank. You stare at the paper, and it feels like you're trying to solve a math puzzle with no instructions. These moments might seem small, but they're often the first red flag that your brain is under stress. Sign number 1 is struggling with simple decisions or everyday tasks. We're not talking about forgetting complex tax forms or major life choices. This is about the everyday decisions, the ones that used to come naturally. What should I cook for dinner? Which route do I take to the pharmacy? Did I already take my medication today or not? When the brain starts to slow down or lose connection between thought and action, even simple choices can feel confusing or overwhelming. And here's what's happening inside. As we age, the frontal lobe, the part of the brain responsible for planning, problem solving, and focus, can begin to shrink. Blood flow may decrease. And if there's inflammation or damage from poor diet, stress, or undiagnosed medical issues, the connections in your brain get slower, weaker, even lost. But here's what's truly dangerous. Most people brush this off. They say things like, "Oh, I'm just tired today," or "I've got a lot on my mind." But over time, this mental fog becomes more frequent and more frustrating. Could you be ignoring these early struggles? Have you noticed yourself hesitating more even with small tasks? If so, it's not something to feel ashamed about, but it is something to pay attention to. Because if your brain is beginning to struggle with clarity, it may be quietly warning you, "I need help." Drop a comment if you felt this kind of mental fog recently. You're not alone, and there's so much you can do to support your brain starting today. Now, what's the next sign that something's going wrong in your brain, one that most people completely miss? This one hides in plain sight and affects your mood, your energy, and even your immune system. Now let me ask you something you may not have thought about. Have you found yourself more irritable lately? Do you feel unusually down, anxious, or even just flat without any clear reason? Maybe you've noticed this in someone close to you. They seem quieter, less engaged, or more easily frustrated than they used to be. Here's what most people don't realize. Sign number 2 is emotional changes, especially irritability, apathy, or anxiety. When the brain is in distress, especially in its frontal lobe and limbic system, emotional regulation starts to shift. And guess what? It's often one of the earliest signs that something deeper is happening neurologically. Not memory loss, not confusion, but subtle changes in mood, motivation, and emotional control. Let me give you a real example. A patient of mine, a retired teacher in her early 60s, came in, not because she was forgetting things, but because her husband said she's just not herself anymore. She wasn't interested in her garden. She snapped at her grandchildren, something she never used to do. She even said to me, "I just feel disconnected." Later scans showed mild cognitive impairment, the early stage before dementia. And the first symptom? Not memory, not confusion. It was that quiet emotional change no one understood at first. Could you or someone you love be feeling emotionally different lately? Let me be clear. Occasional sadness or worry is normal. We're human. Life is hard sometimes. But if these changes are new, persistent, and unusual for your personality, they may be your brain waving a yellow flag. The medical reason? As brain cells shrink or inflammation rises, the regions that control emotional balance and personality are affected first in some forms of brain decline. And here's the scariest part. Most people, even some doctors, chalk this up to normal aging or a bad week. But you must learn to notice the difference, because catching this early gives you time to act, to support your brain, correct nutrient deficiencies, reduce inflammation, and keep your mind sharp. Leave a comment if you've ever noticed emotional shifts like this in yourself or someone else. Your voice might help someone realize they're not alone. Now, if emotional changes are the brain's quiet cry for help, the next sign is a loud physical scream that often gets blamed on everything except brain health. Let's move to sign number 3, and it'll warn you. It might be showing up in your body right now. Let me ask you something. Have you noticed your balance isn't what it used to be? Do you ever feel a little unsteady when walking, or catch yourself grabbing the wall or a chair just in case? If so, don't ignore it. Sign number 3 is subtle balance problems or changes in gait. Yes, your ability to walk steadily can actually be a sign of how healthy your brain is. Surprised? You're not alone. Most people blame balance issues on aging joints or weak muscles. And yes, those can play a part. But here's what decades of neurological research shows. Changes in your walking speed, your posture, or even your stride can be an early warning that your brain's communication pathways are starting to misfire, especially in parts like the cerebellum, the basal ganglia, and the motor cortex, all of which work together to control coordination, movement, and spatial awareness. In one major study from the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, seniors who walked more slowly, even just slightly, were found to have a much higher risk of developing cognitive decline in the following years. Why? Because when the brain starts struggling, it affects how signals are sent through your nervous system. You may not feel confused mentally, but your body may already be showing the effects. Have you tripped more often lately? Do you walk slower than before even if you're not tired? Has someone pointed out that your steps look shuffling or stiff? These aren't just physical aging signs. They could be the brain's early SOS. Now here's the good news. If you catch this sign early, there's a lot you can do. Targeted physical therapy, gentle balance exercises like Tai Chi, anti-inflammatory nutrition for the brain, and most importantly, getting assessed by a neurologist who understands cognitive aging. So if your body is moving differently, even just slightly, don't just assume it's arthritis. It might be your brain saying, pay attention. If you've noticed your balance or walking has changed, or if a loved one is walking differently, let us know in the comments. You're not imagining it, and you're not alone. Now we've covered mental confusion, emotional shifts, and physical signs, but sign number 4 is the one I'm most concerned about, because it's the most ignored, the most misunderstood, and it's something that many older adults are experiencing right now without realizing their brain is at risk. In fact, it might be happening in your home every single day. This one hurts to talk about, because it's something I see in my clinic every single week, and most patients, even the careful, health-conscious ones, have no idea it's affecting them. So let me ask you honestly, how well are you sleeping? Are you waking up feeling truly rested? Or do you toss and turn, wake up multiple times, or lie in bed staring at the ceiling? Because here's what many people don't realize. Sign number 4, poor sleep, especially chronic insomnia or fragmented sleep. Sleep is not just rest time for your body, it's active maintenance time for your brain. While you sleep, your brain performs critical cleanup. It clears away waste proteins, it repairs cell connections, it resets neurotransmitters for the next day. But when your sleep is broken, shallow, or too short night after night, your brain starts to suffer. In fact, recent studies from Harvard and Stanford show that chronic poor sleep in older adults is directly linked to faster cognitive decline, and in some cases, to a higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. Why? Because when you miss deep sleep, especially slow-wave sleep, your brain struggles to clear beta amyloid, a sticky plaque associated with Alzheimer's. Think about that. Just a few bad nights here and there? Fine. But months or years of poor sleep? That could be setting the stage for long-term damage. Do you fall asleep but wake up at 2 a.m. and can't fall back asleep? Do you snore or stop breathing while sleeping but haven't been tested for sleep apnea? Do you rely on sleeping pills every night just to shut your mind off? These are not minor problems. They are major warning signs that your brain is not getting the recovery time it desperately needs. And the tragedy? Many seniors blame it on stress, old age, or even say, I've always been a light sleeper. But the damage adds up, slowly, quietly, until it becomes something you can't ignore. Now here's the good news. There are safe, effective, natural ways to improve sleep and protect your brain. Light exposure in the morning, no screens 1 hour before bed, magnesium, melatonin, and calming bedtime rituals. And if needed, a sleep study to rule out apnea. Have you been struggling with sleep lately? If so, drop a comment and tell me what's helped you, or what you're still battling. There's strength in sharing your experience. Because if there's one thing I want you to take seriously from this entire video, it's this. Do not ignore your sleep. It's not a luxury. It's one of the most powerful, protective brain tools you have. And now, let's move to the final sign. Sign number 5. This one often shows up without pain, without warning, and it's deeply connected to something that millions of seniors deal with every day, but never linked to the brain. Let's pause for a moment. Your brain only weighs about 3 pounds, yet it uses over 20% of the oxygen and nutrients in your entire body. That means it's constantly hungry for the right fuel, the right flow, the right support. So what happens when that flow gets disrupted? Sign number 5 is reduced blood flow to the brain. Often caused by hidden circulation problems, this is the silent brain killer most people don't see coming. Here's the truth. As we age, blood vessels can begin to stiffen, narrow, or fill with plaque. It might start in the legs, the heart, or the neck, but eventually it affects the brain. And when oxygen-rich blood can't reach your brain efficiently, you begin to feel it, but not always in obvious ways. Let me explain what this looks like. You feel mentally sluggish, even after a full night's sleep. You struggle to stay focused. Conversations drift away mid-sentence. You feel dizzy or off balance when standing up too quickly. You sometimes feel foggy, as if your head is full of cotton. Does any of this sound familiar? These are not just signs of aging. They may mean your brain isn't getting the nutrients or oxygen it needs to function properly. And sadly, many people don't realize it until there's a minor stroke, or a TIA, also known as a mini-stroke, where blood flow is briefly cut off. These episodes are often missed. No pain, no big drama, just a weird moment that passes, but inside the brain damage is being done. Now let's be very clear. Reduced brain blood flow is not just a circulation issue. It's one of the leading contributors to vascular dementia, the second most common form of dementia in older adults. But here's what's incredible. This is also one of the most preventable and reversible signs if caught early. Moderate daily walking, blood pressure control, omega-3 fatty acids, foods that support vessel health like leafy greens, beets, and berries, and getting screened for circulation issues, especially if you have diabetes, high cholesterol, or a history of smoking. If you've ever experienced brain fog, dizziness, or even just slower thinking, leave a comment below. You might help someone else realize they're not alone. Now, we've uncovered the 5 subtle, dangerous, and often ignored signs your brain could be in trouble. 1. Struggling with simple decisions. 2. Emotional changes like anxiety, irritability, or apathy. 3. Balance issues or a change in your walk. 4. Sleep disturbances that quietly destroy brain recovery. 5. Reduced blood flow, the silent starvation of your brain. If you've experienced even one of these, don't panic, but don't wait. Because here's the truth. The earlier you act, the more power you have. But before we wrap up, we need to talk about what you can do next. Because knowing these signs is not enough. You deserve a clear, simple, science-backed plan to start protecting your brain today. So what happens now? You've just learned the 5 early warning signs your brain could be struggling, maybe quietly, maybe urgently, but either way, this is not the end of the story. Because here's the truth most people never hear. Your brain is capable of healing. It's called neuroplasticity, the brain's natural ability to adapt, rebuild, and rewire itself. But that only happens when you give it the right tools. So if even one of the signs we talked about today feels familiar, please don't wait. Don't assume it will go away on its own. And don't let fear freeze you in place. Instead, take action one simple step at a time. Step 1. Get a full health check, especially blood pressure, blood sugar, sleep, high blood pressure, uncontrolled diabetes, undiagnosed sleep apnea. These are silent brain threats that can slowly damage your memory and focus over time. Start by speaking to your doctor. Ask, how's my brain circulation? Is my sleep quality affecting my cognition? Are my medications affecting my memory? These questions can literally change your future. Step 2. Move your body. Even just a little, every day. You don't need a gym. You don't need fancy equipment. Just walk. Movement increases blood flow, reduces stress, and boosts the production of brain protective chemicals like BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Even 10 minutes a day makes a difference. Step 3. Clean up your daily fuel. Your brain lives on what you eat, and it's either thriving or struggling. Eat more. Leafy greens, berries, omega-3 rich fish like salmon, walnuts, extra virgin olive oil. Cut back on processed sugars, fried foods, high-sodium frozen meals. These small swaps are proven to lower inflammation and support memory and focus. Step 4. Protect your mind from emotional wear and tear. Don't underestimate the damage that chronic stress, isolation, and emotional exhaustion can do. Your brain needs calm, connection, and challenge. Practice breathing exercises or gentle meditation. Read something new, even for 5 minutes a day. Do puzzles, crosswords, or brain games. Call someone who makes you laugh. It all counts, and it all helps. Step 5. Pay attention to the small signs and speak up early. If something feels off, say something. If your spouse or parent seems different, don't ignore it. Early detection is not about fear, it's about freedom. The freedom to act, to plan, to heal, and to stay yourself for as long as possible. Now, before we close, if this video helped you, if even one warning sign made you think twice, please take a second to like this video, share it with someone you care about, drop a comment below your story could help someone else recognize a sign they're living with right now. And most importantly, subscribe to this channel if you want more science-backed, senior-focused health advice explained with care, clarity, and compassion. You deserve to know the truth. You deserve to take control. And you are not too old, too late, or too far gone to fight for your brain. Start today, because your brain isn't just part of your body, it's part of who you are, and that's worth protecting with everything you've got.